Hello everybody. I would like to welcome everybody on today's webinar. My name is Mariusz Busiński and I'm senior engineer at Veeam for the eastern part of the Europe. And before we will go further, please comment on the question panel if you can hear me and you can see the PowerPoint deck to verify for me, confirm that everything is okay. Okay, great. Okay, so also as on the previous, so if you have any question, comments, please use this question panel for all kind of the aspects. Okay, so let's start. This part we will go with the clustering and what we will cover exactly today. First, some reminder what we talked about on the previous presentation. It was yesterday. Hopefully, most of you was able to attend on that session. If not, quite soon you should be able to get the recording for that webinar. And this is the basic for today. So what we already should have show in your case if you would like to make the clustering, of course, so then you should have some Nano Server prepared as we're talking about the clustering, so more than one Nano Server. Of course, it's possible to create nano cluster with one node, but we'll go with a few. So we'll go to how to set up such cluster. I would mainly concentrate on the Nano Server, on creating such cluster through the PowerShell, but I will also show how you can do this from the GUI, and I will talk a lot about new stuff from 2016 server. Storage space is direct, very cool feature, in my opinion. Some additional notes, how to add, what are the concerns, what to avoid, and of course, as you are on the Veeam presentation, how Veeam can work, how to integrate with Veeam. It's also very easy, and of course the questions. Okay, as this is quite short series, so something around 15-20 minutes. So let's start. Regarding Nano Server recap. So yesterday we covered what is Nano Server. So Nano Server is another option to install Windows Server 2016. There are two editions, Standard Edition and Data Center Edition, exactly the same like for core, like for the core installation or the full installation with the GUI, exactly the same. So you are not able to choose it from the installation panel. You have to prepare image with the Nano Server because it's customized for the dedicated needs. So you have to choose what you want. If you want to use it as the guest VM, as the host with the hypervisor, with the storage clustering, or even like the IIS server. So you are choosing what to install, which parameter. But that was what we covered yesterday on the presentation. So how to set up the cluster. And let's start, as some say that one picture is like thousand words. So let's start with the demo here, and also please confirm me that you can see the desktop of my desktop. Can somebody confirm that you can see my desktop? Yes. Okay. Great. So I already have here Nano Server with 4 nodes. The detailed how I did it with exactly in every step you can find also on the materials which will be on the PowerPoint and also on the Veeam blog. So if you go to hyperv.veeam.com/blog, you can find the 4 series of the Nano how to create, how to configure, and there I present how I created. So regarding the cluster, you can treat Nano Server in exactly the same way how you can do it with the classic nodes. So first of all, so you can have some nodes. In my case, so it's Nano Server based on the 2016 Data Center edition, and so you can, if to create new cluster, you can just create cluster and provide the new cluster name, some validation, and then go with the all of the steps. But the same can be also done with the PowerShell. So what are the options of the PowerShell? So generally you can do it with the two command line with the PowerShell. First, it's recommended to go to the test cluster, and so you can choose which node should be tested against the cluster, which role. In my case, I don't need all of the roles, but the most important are regarding the networking, system configuration, inventory, and the storage spaces direct. As in my cluster, I'm using storage spaces direct, so we want to configure this. So, so that's the testing, validation. If everything is okay, if you will not get any errors, then you can proceed. If there are some warnings, so depends on the warning. So the validation of the cluster is required to be supported. So if the cluster, Microsoft cluster, goes successfully through the validation wizard, then it's from Microsoft support, it's supported environment. So please remember about this. And then with just one command, you can create the cluster. In my case, it's Nano cluster, where I pointed the 3 nodes with no storage, because it will be later created as the storage spaces direct, and then some IP cluster. So this is how you can create the cluster without the storage basic. So this is from the command line, and also here you can do exactly the same with the GUI. So with the networks, with the setting the networks for the cluster communication, for the management communication, so you cannot go through all of the steps. Okay, so let's go back for a while to the PowerPoint. Okay, so I mentioned already that I'm using storage spaces direct. So what is storage spaces direct and how you can use it? So before 2016 server, also it's possible with 2016, but usually what option we have? In case of clustering, we can have some just bundle of these, some shared storage, generally shared storage to the cluster nodes. We can build based on this. We could build CSV resources, CSV volume, or scale-out file server, and provide and expose that scale-out file server storage over SMB to the Hyper-V clusters. But then the storage space is direct, what it allows, what it has. So instead of shared storage, we can use storage which is inside the specific nodes. And based on this, we can build exactly the same file server. So it's somehow cloud hardware design. So it can be, Microsoft removed requirement of the shared storage. So what does it mean? So we can use direct attached storage, internal disks, SATA, SAS, and NVMe. Storage can be used for such scale-out file servers. It's very easy to extend this, because if you want to extend such storage, it's enough to, from one side, add just additional disks in one of the node, or just add additional node, and the data will be rebalanced over the all nodes. And the management for storage spaces there are from System Center or from the PowerShell. Today I will show you from the PowerShell how you can do this. And regarding the storage spaces direct, it's not only for scale-out parcel. So what are the purposes? So what? Okay, you can say if we are using storage from single nodes, what happens if the single nodes will be will be corrupted? So in storage spaces direct, the data are also reliable. So with mirroring or with the parity, exactly the same like, for example, in the previously in the from storage spaces without direct work. So part of the data are on one node, part of the data and the copy are on the other nodes. So we can have exactly the same way failover cluster, high availability, and the logic behind this. We can set up that in case of one disk corrupted, or one enclosure, or one server, or even more, one rack, we are able to keep the data up and running. So we can set up in the way that one copy will be in a rack, and second data will be in another rack or in another enclosure. So the another copy will be not be in the same enclosure with the disk. And the primary usage is, of course, for the Hyper-V, for the backup, for replicate storage for the backup, for the storage for the replicas, and hyper-convergence Hyper-V cluster. So, like in the previous screen, previously we can build scale-out file server and expose that shares to the nodes of the Hyper-V clusters. So we have somehow two independent things. One was storage and one was compute. And we attach this. So from the Hyper-V cluster perspective, that storage was like shared storage. But storage spaces direct also allow us to use the Hyper-V cluster on that nodes. So it's hyper-convergent infrastructure. So if you want very easy to scale out, if you need more compute resources, more storage, you just need to add additional node with the local disk, and that disk will be available across all nodes, across whole cluster, will be visible and can be used for this. Okay, so that's theory. So now let's go back to the screen. Okay, so in my case, I already have configured this storage. So if you will go, I can have, as I have 4 nodes, so I can see physical disk on each node. So in that case, this is on node number 4. This is node number 1 with the physical disk. If you, based on that disk, we can see that we created pool storage space pool with, so we can see from all nodes all disk here, and based on that pools I created volume, and on that volume I can created my cluster shared volume disk, which is used to provide scale-out file server, where I have some shares for where I'm located my my VM. So from one side, you can do this and create from the GUI the specific volumes, but first configuration, first step is you are not able to do this from here. You should enable cluster storage spaces direct from the command line or from the system center. So that's only available from here. As I'm doing this on the my lab, which is virtualized, so I skip some of the check because it can the verification in the virtualized, so it will not go so fast. It took for me something around 1 hour without this parameter. So if you want to play with this, you can set cache, disable cache state and skip the check. When we enable the storage spaces direct, then it will allow us to see all disk on our storage. So over here, for example, if you will see that on node number 1, so is on that node, because I'm executing all commands from my management machine, and I'm doing everything remotely on my Nano server. So when I execute that node, so that means on my node number 1, so you can see that I can see all nodes connected from all disk from all nodes. Okay, so based on that pool, which very important parameter is that if they can pull or not. So then we're creating storage pool which these parameters can pull. So can pull column means that that specific disk can be part of the storage spaces direct, so can be visible for the other nodes. So they are already added in my storage pool, so that's why here you can see the false. So the important, if you will add the disk, look for these parameters. Can pull should be visible as the true. If there's visible as the true, then that disk can be taken to storage pool. If we create such storage pool, and I have it over here, my storage pool based on new created storage pool. You are creating the volume, so it should be cluster share volume, file system, NTFS or ReFS. Recently, from 2016, Microsoft recommends also ReFS. There's a lot of benefits. You can find also on Veeam the documentation, what are the benefits using especially block clone API regarding the ReFS. So based on the storage pool, we are creating the volume, and on that volume, I created storage file, scale-out file server on my cluster. So it's cluster. Then I created shares. Based on that shares, I exported and used as the storage for all virtual machines. Okay, we will go to the next step. So you can optionally, you should create some witness. You can do a witness based on the file share. You can use cloud witness. As I'm in the lab, I decide to use no witness for the quorum. And so that's all regarding the this. Okay, and also if you know one of the nodes some virtual machine which was running locally, you can promote that virtual machine to be clustered. So you can add virtual machine role, cluster virtual machine role for specific VM. You can also do this from here. So if you will, you can configure role and select just virtual machine, and then based of the nodes you can find and make that machine clustered. Okay, and as we are already here, so let's go through the Veeam integration. There's one important thing before you will go to be able, but it's even not only applied to the Nano server, but it's applied to the Hyper-V in 2016 edition. It's described in 2194 KB article. So you should configure config store root path. So if we will check this parameter from here, you can see that I already have it configured, because by default this is empty. So you should set this parameter before, because without this you will be not able to make the backups or add the 2016 cluster to the interface. And from the Veeam perspective, it works exactly in the same like 2012 server. So you are just adding. So you are just adding the server, and it's everything is installed. Okay, let's go back to the slides. So regarding the extending the clusters, you can also add use this from GUI or from the PowerShell. From the PowerShell, so first what I did is verification, my set up how many nodes I have, which nodes. Then with one command add cluster node, you can add additional nodes. There is nothing special here, and this will gain the more important. So first, regarding the storage spaces direct to extend, because adding the nodes will give you only the compute, will not give you the storage spaces direct. So you cannot use it immediately. So first, you should check if the disk can pull, and then add them to the storage spaces direct. So with the first command, you can see that I verified that there are two disks which can pull, with the serial number starting with 05 and 06. So with adding new node to my cluster, so these two disks I can add to my storage pool. Then with next two commands I'm adding. So first, just getting this disk under the PD to add, so physical disk to add, and then I'm adding the disks. So this will cause that I'm able to use new disk in my storage spaces direct. Next step which I require is to extend virtual disks. Before we will go, we should be able to get the size of the disk. From the GUI is quite easy. You can just use the maximum you have. From the PowerShell, from the command line, is not the easy task. You should calculate the maximum size. The maximum size here on the screen is the command line is the cutted, but if you will go to the my blog post, you can see the full command line. But generally, this maximum size you are taking first from the maximum supported size we can get from the new recently added disk. And we are taking to consider that this will be in parity mode, and then we can resize the disk to the maximum we have. We can of course use the smaller size, but I use the maximum possible. So we can fund the whole command in my blog post. And the Veeam integration, besides what I show you, just to add this parameter for the Hyper-V, during the installation, during the adding, you can notice that Veeam transport and Hyper-V integration packages are added here, and as you can see, it's not MSI package, because on the Hyper-V Nano server you are not able to use any any MSI package, so it's in the APPX form. So that's how the integration can look like. Additional materials, so you can find very interesting white paper from Mike Ressler regarding the Nano server, and next the Nano server deployment on the blog post I mentioned. So whole steps regarding the clustering you can find in the part 4 regarding the Nano cluster. So that's all from my side in this short series. Just reminder for you that in next month we'll have the Veeam conference in the New Orleans. I encourage you to, if you are not already registered, you should. There will be plenty of interesting, cool sessions, breakout session, also option to pass VMC exam to get certificate, and of course a lot of fun and networking. So now part for the questions. Do you have any questions I can address? And okay, no questions here, all clear. So in that case, thank you for that presentation, Yeah, and there's one question now appears. If we need more than one package in the Nano server, is that possible? When you are preparing the Nano image, you are able to choose more packages. It was covered in the yesterday presentation. So when you are preparing, you should remember about compute, about host, and clustering, and the storage. This package should be included. Be able to cluster Nano server, to use that small size but with the full feature set. And the recording, you will get the recording for the both presentation from yesterday and from today. You will get soon from the same address. You get the confirmation. And yes, Clint, the questions from the Clint is for clarification. If we can do the hyper-converged nodes out of the box storage and compute with the PowerShell command I mentioned, yes. Some of the options are only through the PowerShell, like the enabling the storage spaces direct. And please also remember that this requires data center edition of Windows Server license. So if you have 4, 5, 10 nodes, they should be covered with data center edition of the license with the software assurance, because to be able to use Nano server, you should have software assurance for that nodes. And then when you will create the cluster based on the Nano server, when you will enable storage spaces direct, you can use fully hyper-converged nodes for this. Okay, so if there are no more questions, so thank you for everybody who joined and who will watch the presentation later. Hopefully you enjoy that presentation and yesterday, and the materials you can find in the presentation and on the blog post regarding the Nano server, and hopefully to see you in one of the another presentation in the future. Thank you. Have a nice day.